Grand Rising, and welcome to Raaan Oosha's Talks on the Spiritual Journey. Today I'm going to continue my conversation with Luz Castro. Grand Rising, Luz.
Hi, Ron. Hello.
So we spoke last week, but we didn't really have time to finish our conversation. So if you want to listen to Luz's bio, please go back to the talk last week, and that's on my YouTube channel. But just to refresh, Luz is currently working at a mental health organization as a senior well-being advisor and has her own holistic and counselling hypnotherapist practice. So Luz, I thought we'd get right back into what's happened now, and considering the situation we are all in and the maybe depression that we're feeling. Is that something that you work with?
Yes.
Individuals?
Yes, it is. First of all, thank you for inviting me again. It was really lovely to our chat last time. So I hope that whatever we talk about today, that the listeners find it helpful for themselves as well. So yes, so I do work in mental health, and I am also a holistic counselor. So definitely has been a rise in referrals, a rise in people suffering from depression, from anxiety. I think some of them, there were already issues in the past in these people's lives. However, because they were so busy with their own lives, going to work and doing that day-to-day living, they never really got the time to pay attention to whatever was going there within them that they were not really happy about, they were not really feeling well about it. And now, because, we don't really have that many distractions as before, then these things start coming up. But then also there are people that never had any mental health issues in the past or emotional issues of any sort, but now they are really finding difficult the disconnection between people. I think that it comes mainly from that, from feeling disconnected from their community, because they are not able to go to maybe groups that they used to attend before, supporting groups such as church or any community activities. They're not able to see their family, friends. So that really weighs on their mental health and their well-being without a doubt. And then, then also having more time to really think on their own lives and where they are in their lives right now. And also I think because, watching the news, when you watch the news every day, it doesn't really give you much of a sense of hope. So I think there's a lot of despair as well. There is a lot of fear and also a lack of sense of hope because it just doesn't seem to be going away, and also lack of clarity as well. Mixed information, mixed messages from different organizations and organizational bodies, which I'm not going to mention names, but there is a lot of lack of clarity really. And people are just feeling quite frustrating and in despair at the moment.
You said that part of what your work is helping people heal and clear from difficult and past experiences. What exactly does that mean?
So, as a holistic counselor and hypnotherapist, I work with people. Well, they might have a variety of issues, but normally it will be issues related with feeling disconnected, feeling anxious, low mood, or it could even be compulsive behaviors such as substance misuse or gambling addiction. So what I help them do is to really go into the root of the problem. So it starts as a talking therapy, really. I just get to know the person a bit more, to know their background, to know their story, because often the issues that we have in the present, even if sometimes it doesn't feel that it's related, is often actually related with our past, and everything is part of our present, isn't it? Everything that happened in our past, it doesn't necessarily need to be, but normally is. So I try to find out a bit more what is in what their past history is, and then we find out. Then after we have that established, then trying to cover as well maybe some beliefs that person has about themselves and about life, and then just go from there.
So what are these beliefs that hold us back?
Ah, thousands of them, billions. So the beliefs really, and the funny thing is that the beliefs, they only not only affect us mentally, but they also affect us spiritually in our at an energetical level. So, for example, beliefs could be that you are not good enough, or that you are not capable of doing certain things, or that perhaps good things just happen to other people, or it could even be that you're not deserving of money, or that you're not deserving of having a good life, or that you're not deserving of love. So often these beliefs, they are not really on our conscious level, they are on a subconscious level. We often not really aware of them. And the thing is that, say, if someone, for example, if you believe that you are not deserving of love, what you are going to attract to yourself is experiences that tells you exactly the same, that confirms that belief you have. Because you are going to look for people that perhaps also they don't love themselves as well. So they will not be able to love yourself, to love you back, because they are also not able to love themselves. So that's what beliefs are in a way. They are mainly on our subconscious level. They stem again from past experiences, normally in our childhood or in the younger years, and from experiences that we have, and that assumptions that we make as we grow up.
So is it possible to have one belief at the unconscious level, but on the conscious level, have a different belief or idea?
Oh yes, definitely, and that goes as well. For example, for the same with, I mean, it's quite unrelated, but at the same time, I can say it's quite related. For example, with biased racism, and for example, someone thinking that, oh no, I'm not um, racist, for example, or I do not judge people, but then, and do you really think that you're not biased, or you do not have any racist ideation, but you might actually have as well in your subconscious mind without notice. For example, you might, it's just yesterday, and the reason why I'm bringing this up actually is because yesterday I watched a very interesting video on YouTube, and there was this man, American guy, and he has a daughter. He's white, but he has a adopted daughter, and his adopted daughter is black. And I found that example so interesting. So obviously he loved his adopted daughter. He never saw himself as racist or as someone that was judgmental towards others regarding their color or their beliefs. So he never saw that himself in that way. But he said that he was driving and he just drove past this lady. She was on the bus stop and it was late at night. And there was a black guy coming on the same street going towards the bus stop, and he just had a thought, oh, I better stick around just in case. So the reason why he had this thought is because he thought that for some reason that lady was in danger because there was a black man approaching the bus stop. So he decided to stay. And as he had this thought, he realized, oh my God, I can't believe I just had that thought. Almost, it's a sort of automatic thing, isn't it? It's also something that we learn by observing others and by what we listen and by what we watch. Sometimes we don't realize we have those kind of thoughts, they just come up in our mind. So he was, he decided to make this video because he was quite shocked with himself that he had this thought and he had this biased belief, even though he didn't see himself as that person. And however, he said, however, I do want to look into it, because it's only when we look into it and when we actually give space to conversations that we can actually, when we can actually challenge ourselves, then we can actually heal and clear things up. So that was for me a really good example, for example, on how we might, in a way, in our subconscious mind, think in a way, have a specific belief, and in our conscious mind taking it totally different way. Another example is one of my clients, which I had sessions with, and he was a musician. Obviously, he wanted to be famous. He wanted to have success in his career. So, and the reason for we had one of the sessions was we were trying to explore what was holding him back from having that success and from succeeding in his career and taking the career further. And when I asked him to visualize him uh, playing for a big audience and having loads of success and having loads of contracts and just improving in his career, he found it quite difficult to visualize that. So that for me was a sign that there is some belief that he's not even aware of. And and the belief, then we went to the root of the issue, and the belief was that it's not good to have money, it's not good to be rich, and rich people are snobs. So if you would become rich and successful, it would be a snob as well. That was one of the beliefs. And because he was literally just not comfortable with luxury, he was not comfortable with wealth, because he associated that with someone that is a snob. And also he associated that with perhaps losing the friends he had, because most of the friends he had, they were struggling. And then other beliefs that he had as well was that a musician or an artist needs to struggle in life. And that's the sort of romanticized thing that we have about artists and about musicians, that, you have to be a bit creative and eccentric. Perhaps you do drugs and you have got loads of relationships, and that for them is living the high life, living the life to the maximum, and also struggling. And that's what was in his mind being a musician was about. And he was not aware of it. He was at all not aware of it. And then once we start going, working deeper and deeper, and then he realized and he thought, oh my God, I would never think that was actually my belief. And he was actually really shocked. And again, there is a disparity between what your brain thinks, what your conscious thinks and is aware of, and what your subconscious actually thinks, if it makes sense.
So does that mean to get to the roots of real change, it's up to all of us to go deep into these unconscious beliefs that we may not know we have, or even deny that we have?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, a good thing that people can even do that on their own without the need to go for a therapy session is to, let's say you have a goal in your life, there is something that you wanted to do, but for some reason you are really struggling to get there, is to actually sit and visualize. You can either close your eyes and visualize you doing it, and just paying attention to the emotions that that brings up to you. Do you feel fear? Do you feel scared? Do you find it difficult to visualize yourself doing it? And as you are doing it, more often than not, you will realize, why is it that you're feeling that? And if you're feeling some discomfort, actually to just stay with that discomfort and just pay some attention to it. Because your emotions will talk to you and they will show you what is it that you need to see, and they will show you what your thoughts are, because our emotions are a result of our thoughts. So the same way, if you're not feeling well, if you're feeling quite low, is because perhaps the thoughts that you've been feeling, they were quite negative. So our emotions, they really show us what our thoughts are. So I would suggest to people to, if they want to find out which negative beliefs they have, is to something, if there is any area in their life that is not going well, or if there is something that they want to do any goal and they find it really difficult to reach for it or to go for it, to just sit down and visualizing that having, for example, if your goal is I want to have a harmonious relationship, a loving relationship, but you're not getting that, then you can go within yourself and imagine yourself having that loving relationship. Is it easy to imagine that? Do you feel discomfortable? If you feel discomfortable, it might be that maybe you don't believe that you can have that. Maybe you don't believe, why is it? And then ask yourself, why is it that I don't believe I can have that? And then just go deeper and deeper and deeper and just ask yourself questions and go deeper into the feeling that you might be feeling.
Yeah, that will take a real deep honesty for each individual, because I guess they're going to come up with things that they don't even want to admit to. So especially in regards to racism.
Yes, it does. It does require a certain level of vulnerability, to be able to look within and to be able to be open to whatever comes up. It does require being able to be vulnerable. And I guess as well, one of the main reasons why we find it so difficult to be vulnerable is because most of our life we really try to protect our ego, isn't it? The ego is a very essential part of ourselves. And so if we are ridiculed, if we are bullied, or if we are made fun of, we get really hurt, isn't it? It's our ego that gets hurt. And we go through life trying to protect that from happening, because when that happens, when we feel hurt, in our ego feels hurt, it's almost as if you are destroying part of yourself. Part of yourself is getting destroyed. So, and obviously you don't want to just to show to let the ego be vulnerable to any form of attack, even if the attack comes from your own self, if it makes sense, your own mind and your own thoughts, or the way you see yourself as well can change, of course, when you try to go a bit deeper and trying to understand what your beliefs are, the way you see yourself will change.
So what exactly is the ego?
That's a good question. What the ego is? Well, in a psychological terms, I would say the ego is represented as the self, the part of the self that is always there. So you have got, actually, I don't know actually if I can explain this properly, to be honest. And I don't think I actually had a good time to think about or to read more about what the ego is. But my understanding is that that part of ourselves that is always there with us. And I'm not talking about the soul, even though I do feel that somehow is connected with the soul. But is that part of yourself that might feel quite vulnerable, and that you feel the need to protect, because it can be quite painful and can be quite emotionally charged when something is attack your ego. I think your sense of self, I think it's more to do with the sense of self, who you are, if it makes sense. But I'm sure that it's probably more deeper than that. I'm just not really able to explain, I'm afraid.
Because is it that the does the ego, it feels real, but does it have actually any reality?
Hmm. That is a very good point. Probably in this life, in this world, probably it does. It's quite real. Um, That's a really deep question. And I think I will have to think about that. And maybe when we talk again, maybe I will have an answer for you. But yeah, it's actually a really deep question. I'm not sure if I can answer that now. But yes, the feeling I have is that it can be quite real within this life, within this context that we are living in. But in reality, it's not really. What do you think? If you mind, if you do you mind asking you, do
Pardon?
you? What do you think? If you mind asking you, what your opinion is on that?
It feels real,
Mm.
and everything around us seems to confirm its reality. But when you actually look for it, what do you find?
And that can be quite scary, isn't it, as well? That can be quite scary, that realization that actually nothing is really there. But at the same time, that it might be scary, but it's quite liberating as well, because then nothing else matters. And when I say nothing else matters, is that everything that we think that we need to achieve or to reach to in order to be happy, then more often than not we don't actually need to. We don't actually need to, or to be okay, or to be safe. Maybe we don't actually need to.
So would that then be a great breakthrough if you're able to allow all these things that you thought were you, beliefs and ideas and opinions, to let them fall? Is there great freedom in that, as well as you said, maybe very scary at the same time, because all you've known are these opinions, beliefs, and ideas, and to let them fall and lose what we call the sense of self can be maybe exhilarating, liberating, and scary simultaneously.
Yes, definitely. It's really relating and scary. However, I don't think it happens in just one go, in a way that, you might have that realization. Um, in terms of, for example, realizing that, the ego perhaps is not real, or realizing your beliefs are not real, or your thoughts are not real. You might have that realization, but it's not just suddenly you are going to completely change. There is still, because it's almost as if we've been programmed, isn't it? It's a programming that we run in our mind. That's what beliefs are, is a programming. And then it does take some time to deprogram that. And the same with when, the realization, oh, actually the ego is not real. You might have that realization, and that really feeling and really understanding might only last for a few minutes, and then it's gone, and then you go back to your life, and then you go back again to the programming, to the automatic pilot again, and you forget about it. So it does take kind of a constant reminder of that, and again, is also about practice.
So are human beings then just, is this automatic pilot programming? Is that what the majority of behavior is?
Oh yes, definitely. And you can see that, for example, just by looking into society and different cultures. So I, Luz, or you, Raaan, or anyone else, depending on where we are born, depending on the culture, the country, continent, the language we learn, I would be a totally different person. So that's the programming from the beginning, from the moment you are born. And I'm not saying that is made in purpose, it's just the way things work in this world. So you are being programmed to believe in certain things. So, for example, let's say, even in terms of culture, what can be perceived as being quite rude in a country might be in another country might be being perceived as being something that is a really polite thing to do. So again, you've been programmed to live in a certain way, to act in a certain way, to behave in a certain way, and to also to think in a certain way, because the belief is installed on you that's the correct way to act. And then you go and you just carry on doing exactly the same thing. Often we don't really analyze that much. We don't really think whether is that really what I really, really believe? Is that what I really, really think? Is that what I really want to live by? We often don't have the time to think about those things, which because also is easier, isn't it? It's easier to just follow up what everyone else is doing. And also, obviously, the desire and the need for us to fit in society and to be accepted, that often talks stronger than anything else. You don't want to really be seen as someone different. So yes, I actually forgot the question, as I always do.
No, you answered
But
it.
yes.
So
Yeah.
if we are these programs running, where is free will and choice?
Free will and choice. Wow. That is a very good question. Free will and choice. Yes, I mean, you always have the free will. I think you still have a choice as well, and you still have the free will. You still have that, definitely. However, the free will and the choice might be quite limited. So, for example, there is a trick. I was reading this book about children and how to deal with difficult children. So one of the things is to make them feel that they have a choice. That's the first thing. So if you try to impose your own rule on them, or your own rules on them, they will not accept it. So you have to make them feel that they have a choice and they have an option. So what you do, for example, if you got a child, he doesn't want to eat his vegetables, you ask him, would you like 4 or 2 broccoli? Would you like 4 steams of broccoli or 2 steams of broccoli? And then the child would probably say, oh, 2 steams of broccoli. So it will be more easier to make him eat broccoli because he would think that he had a choice. So I think the same really happens with us. We do have our freedom within our limits on limitations. Or maybe we feel, maybe probably we are after the child where we feel we have the choice, but it feel quite limited. Yeah.
Is that how a lot of business or even politics runs? We're given the illusion of choice.
Oh yes, definitely. I can see a lot of parallels between that, and a lot of parallels between psychological studies and sociological studies as well. How to how you can manipulate people, and how you can manipulate people into thinking that they have a choice when they actually don't really. I mean, they have a choice, and I do believe that we always have a choice. But if someone shows you 2 options, you probably are only focused on those 2 options, and you're not really thinking outside of the box. So what other options are there? Because you're just shown those 2 options.
Is it quite tricky though? I mean, unless someone meets someone like you, or they find a new maybe group of friends, that they're not going to hear this other information or hear things that, or even having their views challenged. because around them is their circle, people who they've grown up with, who kind of mirror back what they believe and see.
Oh, yes. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I think that's happening a lot with social media these days. And censorship as well, in a way, but well, that's probably another conversation. But for example, within social media and the algorithms with Facebook or YouTube, that, you know, they kind of scan your profile, and they see, okay, you are this person from this race, in this age, so you're more likely to perhaps ever more leaning towards this kind of political views and this kind of beliefs. So they go on and try and show you only things that they think you are more likely to be interested on. So you end up having just one side view of things, and that happens us in politics. Quite recently, there was, but I'm not going to say names just in case if we don't get censored. But there was a big court case, one of these big social media companies that went to court, because what they were doing is they were censoring specific political party in determinant of order. And also because then what that creates as well, there was people that were really against it, because what that creates is that people start living in their own bubble, because they just start seeing the views or the beliefs that they have keep on getting reaffirmed by the kind of news that they are, that are targeted at them, and that they are exposed at kind of news or videos or people talking about it. So is if I have a belief, and then I go online and that same belief keeps on being repeated to me as if it's the right option, and no other options are shown to me, then I just carry on thinking, oh yes, that's right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. So again, that creates a bubble, and then also creates more separation, because it doesn't even allow you to explore what other views are there, and to actually, for you to then take some time and analyze your own views based on other people's views, that, and then you might, because you might even get surprised that, oh, actually someone I thought that was so different of me, but maybe they actually want the same things, and maybe there are some certain things that you also share. So instead of um, focusing on your differences, maybe you could also just become more aware and focus on the things that you have in common, and then you could work together even though you have differences. But then, you know, social media kind of exacerbates that. You've been in a bubble, not wanting to really even engage with anyone else's opinion, or trying to have a healthy discussion. So that's the issue on not even challenging yourself, or not having the opportunity to challenge your own beliefs and your own ideas.
Is it important that we do challenge our ideas, because that's how we grow? I would have thought going outside of your comfort zone as human beings, I guess that's how we evolved as a species. We always stepped another step.
Oh yes, definitely. And yes, I think there is no other way to grow unless you challenge your own self and you challenge your own belief systems again. Um, that's really the way forward. And also, again, it creates more a breach between the other. That creates a breach when you are able to start a conversation. You have to start by you challenging yourself and to be open for it. And I think, again, maybe the main reasons why we don't do that more often, again, has to do with ego. Because if you do have a belief and then that belief gets challenged, even if sometimes you can see that the other person has got really good points, you really don't want to stand up. You don't really want to stand out, and you want to, because you want to win, isn't it? You feel that if you allow that to happen, then somehow you are losing something, you are losing yourself, or you feel that you're not being right. that is a sort of an attack to your own persona. So you do not want to admit that. And even if someone tells you, gives you reasons why maybe your opinion is not as right as you think it is, you still going to be you're still going to deny you're still going to into a sort of a denial process, because again you don't want to see yourself as the bad guy, and you don't want to see yourself as the one that was wrong. And it's the same, you can see that in relationships as well. When you have got argument with your partner, with your spouse, often we have an argument, and sometimes we, in the middle of the argument, we might realize, oh, actually I am wrong here, but you carry on. You carry on with the argument anyway, because you don't want to admit that you were wrong. No matter what, you just don't want to admit it. And that's just us. We are humans, we are funny beings, really.
Is it maybe more, so it could be said that rather than say I'm wrong, we can say, because I think that's kind of an attack on the whatever the ego is, to say I'm learning. So from there, you've grown immediately and you've recognized it, to replace I'm wrong with I'm learning.
I think that's really powerful. That is so powerful. It really changes a lot. And I think that's definitely should be the motto in schools as well, because I think also probably it stems from our education as well. When the teacher tells you to go to the chalkboard to answer some mathematical formulations, and you do it wrong, and then you are embarrassed in front of all the class, and then they tell you it's wrong, and you just feel awful. Maybe it seems from there you don't want to be wrong ever again, or you don't want to admit it that you were wrong. It's kind of embarrassing. And I think, like you said, I'm learning. I think that's beautiful. And I can just see someone telling you that as a child, for example, if you do a mistake, especially at school, and someone just tells you, "Oh, well done, you are learning," and then shows you this is not the correct way, but you are learning, instead of just saying you are wrong and that's it. So definitely that will definitely change the way we deal with things, and the way we deal with our own perceptions.
Because with that, I think that breaks through, just those two words breaks through so much. So even you may have these beliefs inside you, and to just recognize them is a profound moment. At first, they may look like negative beliefs of sexism, racism, but to just see it is incredible. You're with that, just seeing, you're already unlocking all of these kind of beliefs and ideas and concepts.
Yes, definitely, because then it's going to help you to stop acting on it. For example, in that case, the guy that had this thought about the black guy that was next to the bus stop, he realized that, and that probably stopped him from having other sort of automatic behaviors as well, maybe in different situations. The same with um, that musician I was talking about, where he felt that money is not a good thing, or where he didn't really felt deserving of success. It stops you acting on automatic basis on a subconscious mind, and then acting automatically against your own self. So if I am aware that, oh, I have got that belief and that belief is not beneficial for me, then at least I will be aware every time that belief comes up. I will be aware of, because I will recognize the feeling, and then I will think, okay, I'm thinking this way, that's not true. And then you can just move forward and do something different.
So what happens in the room when you are working with somebody and then they realize this thing? How does that feel with you, and how does that manifest with them? Is it just a eureka moment for them?
So sometimes the realization is not kind of straightforward, like our way moment. But sometimes I can just feel that there was sort of a change where they kind of realized, oh my God. And sometimes they are still in denial as well, and they think, oh no. So you challenge them and you say, well, I think you have these beliefs. And they're like, oh no, no. But then you can see that they are thinking and they are kind of processing it, because in the beginning, sometimes a lot of people, they will be in shock thinking, oh my God, do I think that? Do I believe that? Oh my God. So the first reaction is to kind of go in denial again and think, oh no, 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 I don't think so, no. But then you can see that in the back of their mind, they are thinking about it. And then maybe 2 or 3 sessions later, then them actually coming to the realization, okay, yeah, I do need help to clear up this belief and to move forward.
I like what you said there when you said you felt the change. Is that a kind of energetic, universal soul spirit kind of feeling that's coming up at that point? Because it may not be anything they've said, but there's a shift in the room.
That's a good point. It might be. It might be. It might be. I guess that's express itself through feeling, isn't it? I just have the feeling and a knowing, isn't it, as well? A lot of times we have that knowing, we have that feeling, and we just don't know where it came from, but we know it feels real, and we know. Or the same when you're talking with someone and you can just feel that person probably is not that well, even though they're trying to put up a front that everything is fine, and you just know. Or someone is lying to you and they might be good liars, but you just know something is not right. So is that knowing? And I guess probably has to do with, what connects us on a spirit level, really. Yeah.
So is that a gift you have, being able to feel energetically other people?
Yes, and I think we all have that. We do all have that. Some people pay more attention than others. Some people are more sensitive than others. And some people allow themselves to be more sensitive than others. And so, yes, I think I do, like everyone else does that, and everyone else can tap into it. And also, yes, and that's what I wanted to add as well, that a lot of people do have that, but they suppress it because they do not believe that is real, if it makes sense. They're quite pragmatic about that.
You wrote some wonderful lines to me a couple of weeks ago, and you wrote, so you're helping people expand their awareness to the beauty of life, getting them into the flow, feeling connected with themselves, the universe, and the world, and everything in it. What is this deep connection?
So, so a lot of people that I work with, they suffer from depression, from anxiety, from trauma as well. And often the main issue, the root of the emotional issue often is feeling disconnected. So the disconnection normally starts by feeling disconnected from their family, from their caregivers. So not feeling any kind of special bond with anyone in this world. Especially when I was looking back, especially when I was working with, before I used to work with vulnerable young people. And that's when I actually realized that was the main issue of society, and where actually most of our issues in society stem from us feeling disconnected. So, and normally that disconnection, like I was saying, starts by feeling disconnected from your family, from your caregivers, because if you do grow in a hostile environment, you don't really have that base of love, because you normally experience love first time in this life through your caregivers. So if you don't experience that, then that's going to reflect throughout your life because you didn't get that. So it's going to be really hard for you to get that later on. And that's not because it's not available, but it's because yourself, you think that you do not deserve that. The belief was created. You feel you don't deserve that. And also you are afraid of getting that and then that being taken away from you. So for you in your mind, you feel that it's just easier to go throughout your life without it because you survived without it and you kind of create a barrier. So, and then when that happens, other of the symptoms is you feeling anxious as well, because again, you feel that there is nothing that is there to support you. You don't feel supported in life. You don't feel that connection. And and then the depression as well comes along, that deep sadness, that feeling empty. So, and I do believe, and I saw really good results of trying connecting people with the source, trying making them realize that they are being supported and they are loved and that they are connected with the source and the connection is always there. It was never, not even a moment where it wasn't there. It's always there. So by them connecting with that, that eases their pain, their sense of emptiness and anxiety as well. And once they have that, that instantaneously self-esteem and confidence increases, well-being increases. And then because those things increases, then they are able then to have more meaningful relationships and then to actually feel those same kind of connection that they were aiming for to other people as well. Um, just thinking if I forgot something. But so that is what is about, trying to connect them with the source, get them to feel connected with that divine energy, feeling supported, and for them to then be able to connect with the whole as well. Because once you are connected with that, then you almost become boundless because you realize that you're supported, you are also divine, and you are appreciated, or you are someone of, you are valuable, you are very valuable. And once you feel that way, then more easily you can connect with others as well, with people.
So that source, is that consciousness, God, awareness, Brahma, whatever name we have, the divine intelligence, is that the source?
Yes, that's the source. That's life itself is a source. And it's actually really just about looking into deeper into things. And that's the way I start by. And normally, sometimes it's really hard to get them to connect with that straight away, of course, because if you've been feeling all your life disconnected and you feel that emptiness and that nothing makes sense and that there is no reason why you should be here in this world and that everything is against you and that there is no support, it's really hard to get you to connect to those things. So, or to even convince you that exists, that there is support and that you are loved, you have to convince that person. It's really hard. So what normally I do, I use hypnotherapy, because when you are by using hypnotherapy, I managed to get them into a deep relaxation state. And then in that really deep relaxation state, then I am able to change their thoughts and to change their beliefs as well. It kind of rewrites their brain in a way. And then just through that deep meditative state, through trying to reconnect them with those beliefs that are more helpful for them. And then other techniques as well is things like mindfulness as well, and just get them to pay attention to the simple things in life, and to which is part of life force, isn't it? When you start to really looking deeper into things, and then you can see the miracle of life in everything that you observe. So it becomes easier and easier and easier to connect with that.
In that deep, relaxed state, is the ego still running?
I don't think it is in that deep relaxation state, because it really goes into your subconscious mind. Um, so our ego normally is conscious, is in a conscious mind, but it can also be in a subconscious mind. But not quite sure. What I do know is that it does hypnotherapy. It goes into the brain and it goes into your brain patterns, and probably it does influence the ego. But I think it goes first into the brain, and then probably it then from the brain then it trickles down to the ego, I guess.
So how, as a planet, do we go from this disconnection to those great words you wrote of universal connection?
Mm. As a planet,
Yes.
we got big work to do. Big work to do. Um, and to start with is with ourselves, and starting by going into our hearts. And I think that most of us, we are afraid of going into our hearts, afraid of getting in touch with our emotions. And by that, I'm not saying that, you have to get in touch with your emotions and you're going to start crying, watching movies and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's just about becoming more conscious and stop running on automatic pilot, becoming more conscious, analyzing yourself, analyzing your thoughts, analyzing your beliefs, and be able to challenge yourself. And other thing is actually to start listening more to the Asian people. And they have, I think they do have the secret of life, of a good life. And they know very well what is it to live in community, what is it to respect the planet, the animals, the plants, the environment, because they live in harmony with that. And we got disconnected because nowadays everything is mass produced. So we don't know where our stuff comes from. We don't care. As long as the price is right, then you just pay for it. But you don't have that connection with the land, for example. We lost that connection, so we don't really understand how important it is to honor the land and to respect the land and to respect the animals and respect the plants. And as we do that as well, as we connect more with those principles, then isn't impossible for you not to feel connected with the whole, with everything else in the planet, because that's our main connection. It starts with the planet's heart and with nature, and then through that we can really, once we start understanding ourselves and paying more time to really knowing our home, this is our home, the planet, and to taking time to nurture that connection that we kind of lost with the planet, then that is going to also help us to connect better with each one of us, to connect with each other.
So is it that as a people to connect with the more feminine principles of this planet, of vulnerability and sensitivity. I remember seeing a talk by Brené Brown who talks of the power of vulnerability. So is that something that we need to connect more with? Because we seem to be in a world of power and competition. A shift more towards sensitivity and vulnerability is required to make real changes.
Yes, definitely, because I think a lot of people are not really happy the way things have been run, and a lot of people are not happy with their lives. But we live in this world where you just pretend, and it's all about I'm doing better than you, I earn more than you do, I have got better car than you have, I've got better house than you do. That doesn't necessarily mean that you are happier than me, but that's the way society sees it, and we just go along with it, and I feel that we are all kind of walking around with masks, pretending and just pretending, just go along with the script and just pretending. And most of people are not actually really happy, and they would rather live in a different way, but they don't want to be the ones being seen as losers. Being seen, oh, why you're not happy? Oh, I'm very happy. They don't want to be the ones being seen as the losers. So that's why connecting with your own vulnerable aspects, with your emotions, with your sensitivity is important. Again, the female principle, the female energy, which, for instance, the male energy is very much needed. And I think as well, we should not discard the male energy. Also, actually, I was talking with a friend not long ago, and I do think that there is also a danger of man and male energy to start to feel not discriminated, but there is a danger of getting too suppressed. That's also not good, because just an example in terms of the female energy and the femininity is being suppressed for a very long time, and from my point of view, from my perspective, what happened is that we women, we felt that we had to suppress that female aspect of us, of ourselves, our female energy, to be able to fit into more masculine world. So let's say at work, or even running the household, or especially at work, I would say. So you will have to disconnect with your emotions, you have to disconnect with your sensitivity and your way of dealing with things, or feeling quite embarrassed to talk about feminine aspects, such as the period. Became like this awful thing, to this taboo to talk about, which is something that is normal. um so that happened even though there was a feminism, but then the feminism as well, I think there were a few things that got suppressed, because then it was the thinking of, if you're a feminist, then you don't cook, you don't iron, you have to earn big money, and you are an entrepreneur, or you are a businesswoman. That's the peak of feminism. um, so we kind of try to relegate all these tasks. Oh no, I don't do that, I'm a feminist, I don't wash the dishes, I don't cook. And that's a shame as well. I do like to cook. Me and my partner cook sometimes, but I mainly cook because I love to cook. That doesn't say I'm not a feminist. So that's just sort of that idea that you have to renegade all what is it represents being a woman, to then become and start acting almost as if you are a man, and disconnecting yourself from emotions. Having, I'm not saying that is what being a man is, but just an example, having different partners, um, not connecting with another person on an emotional level, because you want to um, almost feels like you are in a competition. You want to be more male like, you don't really have those feelings, you can sleep around you, don't care as well. I'm not saying he's wrong or right. I'm just giving you an example, okay? So just trying to see what we went from to how feminism grown and how harmful can also be. And not saying that it's wrong to want to be entrepreneur and to want to be a businesswoman. What I'm saying is that it's not helpful that you feel that you have to renegade all your feminine aspects to live in a man's world and to lose your emotions and your sensitivity. So I feel that just a bit afraid that that the same might happen to men as well, because men's now are being called of doing things that normally they see as somewhat a man that does, being quite, let's say, aggressive, not being connected with their emotions, or, especially like the Me Too movement as well, sexual aggression, which is not good at all. But men becoming quite distressed and thinking, and the vision they have of themselves is changing, of course, and they start to think again, what is their space in this world, in the planet, in society, what their function. They don't know anymore, because their function before was to feed the family, go to work, get money, and support your wife and your kids. But now that's changing as well. So they don't know anymore what's their place is in the world. So, and then also they feel that, oh, I need to be emotional, I need to be sensitive, otherwise I'm going to be seen as a caveman. So, so I think we need the middle term as well, and not to renegade the masculine aspects, which is very much necessary as well. Being assertive is necessary. And sometimes a woman does need a man to take control of things. Not everyone likes that. But, just I think having a sort of a balance and is important. So, but then obviously that has to do with each one of us individually to do the work within ourselves and to get the feminine and masculine balance. And I don't think that having one on top of another, one that has got more influence, is going to help in any way. I think the balance of the both energies, masculine and feminine, is ideal for us to be able to progress and to move forward. So I feel like I bambled.
No,
I feel that I was just going around circles, but I hope that I made my point clear.
yeah, it seems like it's just something now we need to learn the balance of these feminine and masculine energies, and just even understanding what they are, because I guess society is completely different to how it was 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. Our roles have changed so much. It seems maybe that is time is now to have that kind of conversation and deep inner work to find out what our roles are going to be.
Yes, definitely. And going inwards and just really connect with that. What is it? Does it mean for you to be a man or to be a woman? And how can you use the female aspects in your own life, in your own personality, and the male aspect in your own life and personality? Where do you need to be more, bring on more of the feminine energy? Where do you need to bring more of the masculine energy? And just be able to juggle with them both.
There's one more question. We talked about going from kind of this connection to connection universal. Have you felt this in moments of your life, this universal love connection? And can you
Yes, I
describe?
did. That's a really tough work, tough job, tough task to do. I did throughout my life many, many times. Cannot pick a specific time, but I would even say I do feel that on a daily basis is something that is constant with me. To be honest, sometimes a bit stronger, sometimes less stronger. But I would say that is something that awareness is always there with me. And to be honest, he always been there with me. Even though there were times, difficult times, where I felt that I lost that connection for a little bit, for a while. But even so, even looking back, I can see he was always there with me. So it's hard to explain, but it's almost as if you can feel in your body, you can feel every single cell vibrating, and it's really hard to explain, but you can just feel the energy in yourself, and you can feel the love, and you can feel the power within you, if it makes sense. Um, yeah, I don't really know how to explain, but I think it's something that is constant. It's always there. It's always there.
In those moments, does the sense of self, mind, ego fall away?
It does, definitely does. Um, it does. It does fall away. It just, yes, it does fall away.
So what is that? So there's this divine connection, which is what we are, which have moments of falling away. We seem to forget, and it comes back. So what, where is this falling away, and where is it going? And if we are this divine connection, and it seems to be present always, why is there this feeling of disconnection?
Um, I think it has to do with just being aware or not being aware, almost like a switch. Um, for example, if you are in a dark room and the light is there readily available, you just have to put the switch back on, and then it's there. And the same with us. And there are certain practices I personally do to keep me connected with that. And when I say connected, that's actually wrong word to say, because I do feel that we are always connected. Is always there for us, but because I think it's normally in a sort of a higher vibration, so we have to attune our vibration, our energies into it, so we can feel it. So is that kind of almost like, let's say, time zones, or time. I think the best way to explain is a time zone, or no, maybe time zone is not a really good way to explain. But let's say I am here, the energy is there next to me, but if I'm not vibrating in a similar frequency, I'm not going to be able to see that it's there, or I'm not going to be able to feel it. But if I try to connect a little bit with that, I at least try and raise my energy a little bit, then I will feel it. And that's why perhaps people, when they feel in a very low mood, they feel depressed, they feel anxious, it's because their energy at the moment is quite low, so they are not really able to tap into it. So that's what I do in the sessions. I try to raise their energy a little bit more, until they are able to tap into it more and more and more. So things I do, like mindfulness, meditation, reading something inspiring, or listening inspiring conversation or inspiring podcast, or even chat with friends as well. So it's something that you need to cultivate on a daily basis, and not that is going to make that divine presence to be there with you. That's what they teach us in religion. Oh, you have to read the Bible every day. If you read the Bible every day, then God is going to be there for you. And, if you don't do these things, then God is nowhere to be seen. So it's not really in that way, but it's in a way that you need to raise your vibration. You need to look after your vibration, so that you are able to perceive that, you're able to feel that. And It's still there, even if your vibration is low, but you're just not going to be able to feel it, and you're going to be able to sense it.
So I guess then, if the divinity within you from the source is seen, acknowledged, you're then seeing then the divinity in all things, in all people, in all states of life in this planet. And that's the way, maybe the way forward.
Yes, definitely. And sometimes it's difficult, isn't it? Especially now during times of COVID, where you feel like almost that you feel quite protective of yourself. A lot of people, they are scared of people to get near them. Or another example, people when they suffer from depression, they have to suffer from anxiety, and then they also suffer from social anxiety. So they are scared of going out, and they are scared to go to public places because they feel that somehow they feel that they are in danger, and they feel that everyone they encounter almost as if that is their enemy, because they feel that people are judging them. You know, a lot of negative thinking going on, because normally if you are in depression or it's going through a lot of anxiety, your self-esteem normally will be quite low. So because your self-esteem is quite low, whoever you encounter, you feel that is a threat to your ego, because you feel that the person might be judging you, or you feel less important than the person, you feel less than, so you don't feel that you are safe. So people go around, they have social anxiety, they feel that everyone that they see around is their enemy, and they feel that they have to protect themselves. The way they protect themselves, they just go back home, they decide I don't want to interact with anyone. So in that case, for example, one good exercise that you can do, which is called got the name, metta meditation, is a mantra that uses your metta meditation, and that's a really good mantra. You're going around and you just say, may you be loved, may you be well, may you be peaceful. And you don't need to say that out loud. You can actually just say that in your inner voice within yourself, and just, going around and really looking at people. Again, you don't need to look into their eyes, but just, putting your attention, focusing your attention towards that person, and just say within yourself, may you be loved, may you be peaceful, may you be well. And everyone you encounter, everyone you pass by, just say that. And that really helps you to stop seeing everyone as an enemy, and start really seeing that person as a human being like yourself, and directing some positive regard to that person, and some love. As you do that, you will realize that the more you do that, the more you feel love within you. And that's amazing, isn't it? And you start realizing, oh, wow, that's actually me. I'm giving love to someone else, but now I am actually feeling love. What does that mean then? I think that means that probably you are connected somehow, isn't it? So, forgot the question. But yes, I think the connection, and feeling, and I think that happens as well because our society, again, we just feel like we have to compete with each other. If you don't know people, often we feel that we are suspicious of others. We are scared of talking with people outside, because more often than not we see them on the subconscious mind, we see them almost as enemies, because we feel that somehow that person might want to, I don't know, is going to compete with you somehow. There is always a sort of a competition going on in the air.
Can we leave it with what you just said, Luz, about the metta meditation? May we be, you can say a few of those as your last
Yeah,
words.
yes, definitely. So normally, just to clarify, that meditation, normally you can do it at home as well, and normally starts with yourself, and then you go on, start with someone that you no actually I'm lying. So first you start with someone that you have positive regard for, a friend or a family member, someone you've got good relationship. Then you start with someone that you don't really know. It can be a stranger that maybe you see quite often, maybe the bus driver, or maybe the shopkeeper, anyone that comes to your mind that is a stranger but you do see on a regular basis. And then you can start with someone that perhaps you don't really have that good relationship with, but you would like to have a good relationship with. And then you can also do for someone that perhaps you have a difficult relationship with, and then you do it for yourself. In this case, because I was saying, is to just everyone when you go around outside. So yeah, so let's start. So we'll start with everyone, all the listeners that are listening to this conversation between me and Raaan. May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be loved. May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be loved. And then to Raaan, may you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be loved. May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be loved. To myself, may I be well, may I be peaceful, may I be loved. And one for the world, for humanity, every single person, every single animal. May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be loved. May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be loved. May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be loved.
Luz,
Thanks, Raaan. It's been amazing talking to you.
thank you very much. It's been a beautiful conversation. I learned so much just listening to you. And
Thank you.
yes, we went into a lot of things. I thought it was going to be a lot shorter today, but I think we went on even longer. So thank you very much. Yeah, so thank you for everyone to listening to Raaan Oosha's interview on the spiritual journey with Luz Castro. I will put in the links connection to Luz, if that's okay, Luz. Connections to you if anybody wants to contact you.
Oh, yeah, sure.
On YouTube. And Hotep, thank you very much. Goodbye, Luz.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.